So I've been skateboarding for 20 years now, and I've realized that the reasons why I began skateboarding are so much different than the reasons why I continue to do so. My relationship with skateboarding has changed so much over the years, and honestly, I think that's the sole reason why I continue to skateboard. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Carlos Torres, also known as Profe Carlos, and that was actually given to me by the first student I began coaching. So here we are. So I originally started this practice with a private one-on-one, mostly coaching kids, but starting this YouTube channel has really connected me to a much more mature audience, and I've even had coaching calls with skaters from Australia, Hong Kong, and even Canada. On top of the lessons we have, it's been really cool to hear about other skaters' own experience with skateboarding, and it's also been a big reminder on how skateboarding isn't something you need to necessarily fit into, but it's something you need to make your own. So today I just wanted to share a little bit about my own story, because you might be wondering why you're still skating or how you can make it your own. Maybe you're just feeling like you have to fit a certain image, or maybe even just reach a certain goal. In other words, it doesn't have to fit one mold, it can grow with you and adapt. One of the biggest reasons why I still continue to skate is because it gives me options. Whether I want to challenge myself physically, work on a trick, or even just enjoy the outside environment, skateboarding has so many outlets I can choose from. Sometimes I just want to explore a spot differently or see what I can come up with on the board. I just simply want to enjoy the mental and physical benefits, such as getting sunlight and feeling better being outside. I think now that skateboarding has matured a little more as a sport and even just as a culture, there is a lot more conversation on this topic, and so you can consider this my 2 cents. Not to forget to mention, a big reason why I continue to skateboard is because of the community and the people in skateboarding that I've met along these 20 years of skateboarding. There's this shared understanding that skateboarding is about going through adversity that brings people together. And for instance, even the relationship between you and a filmer is super meaningful and can become super intimate. And I kind of chuckle because I'm thinking about so many times I'm going through it mentally, physically, spiritually, any of those versions, and how there's that one person experiencing that alongside of me. So it can be super intimate on top of just the skaters you meet on a day-to-day basis and you've known for a long time. They're there from every attempt, every accomplishment, every celebration. It's actually very beautiful. It's super beautiful. And it definitely doesn't go unnoticed, at least when I think about it. And naturally, you just bond, you connect, it's intimate, bro. It gets very intimate. On top of that, you have sessions where you don't feel like skating at all. And just this past weekend, I went to the skate park and I got on my board, did not feel like skateboarding. I just felt super achy. I told myself I wasn't going to push myself, going there with low expectation. The only intention was just to roll around, get the blood flowing, and enjoy the outdoors. And like many other times I've experienced, because I wasn't placing any pressure on myself, the session ended up being great. And I even ended up challenging myself with a very difficult trick at the end of the session. And that was very natural. It was through a span of 2 hours. And I progressively got to that point where I felt comfortable, where it wasn't forced and it felt a bit more fluid, a bit more like it was a part of the flow I was experiencing throughout that session. Ultimately, what ended up happening was I was just open to skateboarding and allowed for the session to become whatever it wanted to be. This has taught me one of the biggest lessons with skateboarding is to make sure you do your part and show up and not expect so much, because when pressure is reduced, you become so much more capable of exploring and creating and progressing through that abundance. And to not sound too corny, I'll just say it like this: the act of skating is enough. A big goal isn't always necessary most times. And I found myself when I was much younger, every day I had a very specific goal, which isn't a bad thing, but it also isn't necessary every session. Looking a few years back, maybe 3, I would say at this point, there was a time where I thought I had to let go of skateboarding because I thought I needed to grow up and part ways. Damn, that felt funny sharing that. I feel very vulnerable right now, bros. Long story short, I put so much pressure on myself. I thought I had to be a career or otherwise non-existent in my life. I thought I had to justify all the time I've invested, make a living out of it, and only then was it worth staying in skateboarding. But wow, just like many times, I was completely wrong. And eventually, after that mental battle, I realized I was trying to make skateboarding something that it didn't need to be. I was trying to force skateboarding into a box that I didn't even create myself. So instead of asking questions along the lines of how can skateboarding support me and what I want to do, I try to fit in, which what I should have been asking and would have made skateboarding so much more beneficial for me is how can I make it my own and make it fit into where it supports me and what I want to do with my life. Where instead I could have just looked for ways to have skateboarding support me and plug in a bit more naturally with my overall interest and my goals. Ultimately, I was forcing it and not allowing skateboarding to support me, but instead I was trying to make it something that it didn't need to be. And just that simple mental shift really allowed me to make sure I'm having skateboarding support my life instead of having it define it. And now it's not something that defines my life, but it's something where it supports it and releases and takes away so much pressure and allows me to be much more creative. There's so much more progression that I'm able to manifest because of that weight lifted off my shoulders. Every failed trick, every setback, every frustrating mental battle I went through, so many opportunities. And even every time I had to go back for a trick, so annoying, but also so beautiful. Little did I know I was building so many more skills than just landing tricks. I was learning perseverance, patience, and even just being able to work through challenges. And now in retrospect, that's something that I continue to pass down as I coach skateboarders. Going back to the point of skateboarding being abundant, there's always something to learn with skateboarding, whether you're someone who just started or someone who's been skating for more than 20 years. There's always another lesson waiting for you if you're open to it. Again, keywords, if you are open to it. So if there's one thing you can start, if you're not understanding what skateboarding can be for you, I want you to think about how you can go explore with skateboarding, lean into curiosity, and try to make and have skateboarding work for you as opposed to fitting into skateboarding in a way that you've came up with that you think you had to fill. And also one thing, become adaptable. And this is super important. Allow skateboarding to evolve as you grow, as you make those adaptations that naturally occur if you're not trying to fit into one thing. Ultimately, skateboarding is what you make it. So now that you learned a little bit about me, I encourage you to leave in the comments a little bit about yourself and how you've become adaptable as you continue to move and grow with skateboarding. I read more of the comments than you think, and so I'm looking forward to going through them, and I'll catch you in the next video. One last thing, if you're someone who's interested in skateboarding, I offer private one-on-one lessons and calls that we can do literally from anywhere. I generally stay in the LA area, but I've gone towards the South Bay, even down towards SD and Central California. And if you're someone who's interested in a call where we can talk about how to become a bit more adaptable with your skateboarding so that you're given the opportunity to progress a bit more consistently, you can hit me up at profe.carlos on Instagram, or you can simply just send me a message here on YouTube. There's memberships available, 3 different tiers. Each of them have their own perks. If you're into conversations like this, or even ones that you may have seen in this channel, that's a place where we can really dive into it. And overall, just be more focused on the concept, principles, and talks on fundamentals we have on this channel. Again, take care of yourself, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next video.